going on, man?
All right, what's good?
All right. Could you hear me at all?
Yeah, I hear you perfectly.
Okay. All right. Perfect. No, before now, before I put my picture up, you heard me?
Oh no, I didn't.
Oh, you didn't?
I'm hearing you now, right? Right now, I can hear you.
No, that's very odd. Okay, I was talking. I guess that's interesting.
One of those times when you're talking to yourself, but
Clearly, man. I was talking to myself. I thought I was up and running.
oh shit. Hey, are we live right now? Right now, or you guys in the back?
Right now, we're live.
All right.
Yep. I was doing all this monologue. Apparently, no one heard it. So, hey, man, thanks for joining me on this one. And you brought this one up on Instagram, so thanks for that.
Yeah, no problem, man. I saw it and I found it very interesting. I actually saw it a few days ago, and I wanted to post it then, but I was going through my pictures. I was like, oh shit, I forgot to post this. So. All right.
So we're going to talk about why young male virginity is on the rise.
Mm-hmm.
Friday is I set this up as a YouTube and chill, and YouTube and chill is always addressing relationships from a very intimate perspective. Love talking about sex. We're going to be talking about sex, but we're going to be talking about how people are abstaining, just not even touching it. All right, what's that going to do for the future of the nation? What's really behind it? I looked at that Washington Post article. I'll do a screen share.
All right.
And this is unprecedented in U.S. history. So we're going to talk about it. So as you guys come in, smash the like button. If you haven't subscribe to my channel. If you're not subscribe to Red Pill Rican. You've got to check him out. He's got great content. If you haven't seen
fitness, whatever you guys want, man, I'll help you out with that. Even with school. So whatever you need help with, man.
Okay. What's up, 007? I didn't realize you couldn't hear me. I guess I was talking. No one heard me. So Red Pill Mike, good to see you in the house.
It was good, Red Pill Mike. I just saw your notification on Instagram, man. I'll share your backup soon because a lot of channels are getting shut down. I'm surprised mine is still up, and I think I know why. But I'll get into that later.
Okay.
I don't see oh no wonder I'm in private chat. No wonder I don't see nothing. I had a dunce moment. All right. So
Friday, we all must be on that lane.
Yeah, it's Friday night too, so we're probably not gonna get a lot of people because people out doing the nightlife thing, but it's all good.
Well, I was trying to hide out while I was eating, so I thought I could just be up with a blank screen, and they could hear my voice, but it didn't. It doesn't.
No, I couldn't hear your voice.
When it was blank, you couldn't hear me.
No.
Right. Yeah. I didn't know that, so I won't do that again. So what do you think of this topic, man?
You know what? It's not surprising because like I said, I don't have a PhD in this stuff. I'm not I'm not a subject matter expert, as people would like to say, but what I do have is common sense, and I can see patterns and put things together, and I've been out there. And you're a single man, so I'm sure you dealt with the dating market as well, so you've witnessed this as well, where basically when you look at the year 2008 when it skyrocketed, are you able to pull up the chart, or sure, so that people who maybe are not on my Instagram? But while he tries to pull up the chart, you're gonna notice how that actually spiked around 2008. Now, I want to emphasize that online dating has been a thing since the mid-90s, and I think social media also started like around the late 90s, like both of them in their infancy, but it didn't really take off until the mid-2000s.
So we're gonna have a few charts here, man.
Yep. And around 2008, it had like a sharp increase to men who were sexless after the age 18 all the way up to the age of 30, if I'm not mistaken.
And look, so I don't know if they put this one, you had this on Instagram.
Yeah.
They're doing it by age group. So
Mm-hmm.
ages 30 to 39, 40 to 49, 50 to 59, and 18 to 29 are the ones having the least amount of sex. 23% no sex. I mean, that seems like, I mean, we've been living in a country where they claim that men only want one thing. Well, this is proving that to be a myth.
Mm-hmm. I believe there's a few reasons. One, because I also saw another article, I can't remember where. After I found this chart, I went ahead and looked it up, and they found out that a lot of men were actually avoiding that because of the family laws. A lot of them didn't want to get caught up in the situation to where they, hey, you know what, I'm gonna get put on child support, because they see how it is. It became a broke woman's hustle. It's supposed to be child support, not child support plus money so that mommy can go on vacation, and spoil herself. So a lot of guys ain't trying to get taken out like that. And also for marriage, a lot of men are seeing, they're starting to see all these guys get taken to the cleaners, and we're seeing it now. And that's another thing they're trying to avoid. But like I was stating, it also coincides with the rise of social media and online dating. So I think in my personal theory, my opinion is that when women saw how thirsty, hey, there's no other way of putting it, how thirsty a lot of men are, it made them more picky, if you will. It made them more selective to where men that where they previously would have given a chance, they think they could get better because they see so many messages that now they go on, they're trying to get the best guy they can get. But I don't think they realize that the best guy you can get, if he acknowledges them at all, he's going to have a lot of options, which means that you're not going to be able to keep this dude, even if you do manage to get his attention. It's one of those things where you could either get with the guy, settle if you would, or get with the guy where you're going to constantly be sharing him. I think that's the part of the 80-20 rule that people were talking about. But I'm going to break that down later.
Well, I think also when you add that the feminists told women that you can do what men do, go out and have sex with as many men as you want. Try your options, right? The first guy you fall for, don't take him. Try your options. So I think with that mindset, women started making themselves available to guys who technically were out of their league. And I don't care if people don't like that term there are people who are out of your league. And if women don't like that, we look at you and say on a scale of 1 to 10, you're a 4, you're an 8, you're a 3, you're a 9. We do that. And you can protest it all you want, but you won't stop it. So if you're a woman who's a 5, and you want to be promiscuous, and you see a guy who's an 8 in looks and his financial stability, he may he may take you down for a night or a couple of times. He's never going to take you serious. The problem with that, and it's what you're saying, it's a combination of she's getting attention on social media, and she hooked up with a guy who's out of her league. Now she believes she has the right to expect that because some guy out of her league, he banged her. And she now thinks this is normal, and I'm going to marry a guy like that because I was able to attract him. And that's a mindset a lot of women have. Well, guys want me. Yes, they want to have sex with you, but they're not interested in you.
Exactly.
And now you've got these women who were average, and in the past they would have known, what guy was appropriate for them, but they're getting social media attention, and they're having sex because they were told to be promiscuous. So they're making themselves easily available to guys out of their league. So the guy technically right for them by looks, by intellect, by socioeconomic class, they're brushing him off like I'm better than you because I had that guy over there, and it's just a matter of time before another guy like that wipes me up. And so it's screwed up the whole dating ecosystem.
Yep.
And in the end, the women are going to lose.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where you can even tell women, hey, you know, it's kind of like a violation of the man law, I would say. I know people hate that phrase, but of telling women pretty much secrets, like pretty much like, hey, just to let you know, these men hitting you up, they're copying and pasting the same message, to a bunch of other women. You're not unique. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? I mean, it's an old trick. Hey, they're copying and pasting. You're probably the 50th woman of the day who got the same message. She's selling you the same dreams. Like, you gotta understand, a lot of these men, like you were saying, and me as well, that we don't want you. We just want to sleep with you. And then once we're done, that's it. We're gone. You're not gonna get a hold of us. You're gonna get that changed number tone or something. But and and there's another thing, like you said, like it also coincides with what someone else said about smartphones. I think 2008 is when the first smartphones started coming out. I'm not sure if that's accurate, but that pretty much gave you a computer 24/7 in your hand. So now women are coming across men that they would have never met before. When before the internet era, the only men they came across was, if they were at work or going out to a bar. Going out to a bar was the only time they would go ahead and get male attention, maybe twice a week. And then they go back home, put their PJs on, watch their Lifetime movies. Now that's not the case. Now they get it 24/7. So it's kind of like that thing where, they think, okay, I get so much of this that there's no rush for me to settle down ever until a certain type of man comes across my way. And that comes back to unrealistic expectations. Like, you're 40 now, you got kids. I mean, the men that you're looking for aren't checking for you. You know what I'm saying? And it leaves a lot of men that would have given them the life they wanted not looked at. And I think that's part of the rise 23% increase that we see. So
Actually, this started happening before social media. So a guy by the name of Charles Murray, he wrote a book called Coming Apart. And he said that 1960 was a tipping point in creating this, what he called a new super upper class. And it may seem like I'm going to be extreme talking about that class, but I'm going to connect it to how it's affecting everyone. So he said that before 1960, the average verbal SAT score for someone who went to Harvard was like 560.
that's it.
Yeah, because the people who went to Harvard had money. So you had to have money to go there. In 1960, they raised it, and the average was 660 something.
Okay.
So that meant that, and that was the average, right? So what you figure, who was the people who were already there had money, and now you just you raised the bar, so you had to have money and be smart. And so what happened was, that guy who went to law school, went to Harvard Law, instead of him going back home and marrying Susie next door, he didn't marry her. He went to work and met some woman who was an attorney, just like him. She sat across the table negotiating, and she also had, let's say he had an IQ of 135, and so did she. So they married. So now you have two IQ people, Ivy League, come from family that has some money, some affluence, and they create this whole new class of people who are educating their children to be high IQ and come from money. And then Yale followed, and Stanford, a lot of the other prestigious schools followed. So instead of guys and men and women just marrying the guy on the block, since women were in the workforce, they started meeting more women at work, and they started marrying women who were, they thought, more compatible with them, right? Not just the girl around the way. And so that's 1960 that changed. So that's way before social media. So the more women you put in the workforce, the less likely women were going to do what you said, marry the guy who lives in their neighborhood. And social media, just like the smartphone, now you can talk to guys from around the world, right? So it's like you pull one lever in an ecosystem, and it has widespread effects. So just changing Harvard raising the bar on SATs created this whole new what this guy Charles Murphy calls super class, super upper class, because they've been raising their children to be the leaders, to have high IQs. They come from money, so they're now the CEOs and the senators, and they're the politicians, the legislators, and the leaders in corporations or the nonprofits or the think tanks, or the professors, wealthy professors in universities. So it's created a whole new class. And I think a lot of women believe they should have access to that class, even though they don't qualify, except those guys might have sex with these women, and the women believe that they now fit in and belong there, and they just don't.
Yeah, I you know what? I have heard something about that. It's like with movie stars and actors and all that, like they're not gonna go marry, a woman that works at a restaurant or something, or even with you remember Steve McNair, right? What his situation was?
No, I don't know who he is.
He was a quarterback. He actually got murdered by his side chick some years ago.
Oh, damn.
So It was one of those things where he was retired by this point, but it was one of those things where he told the side chick, like, where the side chick thought, like, hey, the side chick thought that he was gonna leave her and leave his wife for her. And of course, that's not gonna happen. I mean, she was a waitress. I think she was like up to her neck in debt. Obviously, it's Steve McNair. He could pay that debt off if he wants to, but he's not with her for that reason. You know what I'm saying? So that goes back to the unrealistic expectation. Like, these women get their hopes up, not realizing like that's not realistic. This guy is not gonna leave his wife for you and inherit your problems and bail you out. That's not gonna work. And it's basically a case of women waiting for their Prince Charming, the big six, as they say, the 6 figure, 6 foot guy, and a 6 foot 6-inch well endowed. It's like, that's not realistic.
Well, I think it's 6 foot, 6'2", 6 figure, and a 6-pack. So they want him to be physically fit, well, have a good income, and be tall. And meanwhile, she's 5'2", 170 pounds.
That's grossly obese with those numbers.
Right. And hell, I mean, I dated a woman who was 6'2", 163, and her body was tight. She was built in all the right places, missing nothing. But I mean, 6'2", 163. So if you're 5'6", 163, you're overweight.
Yeah, you compact all that weight into a smaller frame. Well, smaller in the other way, like smaller stature, I should say.
Right.
Yeah, it's just going to be a huge blob.
Exactly.
But nevertheless, I mean, like I said, it comes back to the fact that, even I'm going to say it, the bottom dwelling women now, they think they could get high quality men. So it's like, you got all these guys in your phone, essentially lowering their standards for them, and they're turning them down. But you see, I think this comes to a point of how men tend to be more realistic than women in the dating market. You see, like, I'm not going to be those guys that say, hey, we get nothing but 10s. There are so many people who say they get nothing but 10s, but they never show. Or when they show, the woman is nowhere near that. You see, so I'm going to be realistic. Like, most women I had are generally between like 6s or 7s and 9s. You know what I'm saying? And even the 9s has something wrong with them physically. But I don't go ahead and hold that against them. Like, maybe they got a small gap between their teeth. One of them had real ugly hands. Don't ask me how. It just caught my attention. I was like, but maybe a little cellulite or something like that. But I don't be like, okay, I can't mess with you because you got this, But you got the women where, hey, you don't got this. You're not good enough for me. Even though you're 5'11", you're not 6 feet, so it ain't gonna work. Like, what?
Well, there's another part that no one talks about. And I want to read a little bit of this article, but let me say, and I've had this conversation with quite a few women. So there's this is related to women who choose the bad boy, and they end up freezing out the guys they're really qualified for. But and so now I'm going to say maybe they're really qualified because even though Harvard increased the SAT scores, they raised the bar. what our government did is made a lot of programs and money available for women to go to college, even if they came from, bottom of the barrel socioeconomic class.
Mm-hmm.
So giving women this education, that also contributed to them saying, well, I'm out of your class. And that's a problem. So here's what you have. You have these women who normally would have married the guy in her neighborhood, but she was on welfare. They had a great program. She went to college. She's a 4 on a scale of 1 to 10, and she had sex with some dudes in a frat who looked really good, but they were drunk, right? So she counts that though, right? So she becomes unrealistic. But here's the other thing. So a lot of women, and this is how I present it to women. I'm going to give you 2 rooms. In room A, you have the good guys. They're class acts, class A guys. In room B, they're the bad boys. They're worthless. When I send you into room A, you soon figure out you don't belong there. So you leave, because the fear is these guys in room A, they've got it together. And when the woman thinks, when this guy finds out how screwed up I am, he's going to leave me. So to avoid being abandoned, she goes into room B and finds a guy who she thinks is worse than she is. And she dates him. And then when it falls apart, she says, oh, he's no good. He's dusty. All the names she called.
Yeah.
She says men are screwed up. Well, she won't tell you when she went into room A, she didn't qualify.
Exactly. And you know what? And you often see that. You see, this is why I don't delete exes. I know a lot of people just block and delete their exes after, but it's comical because back in my nice guy days, when I was doing everything, society tells you that a man's supposed to be doing for women, right? Show her a good time, do all this stuff, call her, send her good morning text and all that. What they won't tell you is that guys like me were already doing that for them. And then they pretty much just sold the guy out because they weren't ready. They had to find themselves, and then they get with another guy. They get into a relationship with another guy you see just a month or 2 later, who was really in the background the whole time, but was keeping that hush hush. And then they get together for a while. Things don't work out. And then she has the audacity to complain about where all the real men at, that do this and that. And it's like, so you're just not going to tell all the people about me or maybe another guy that did all that stuff you were asking about, but you weren't even interested. You gave him a sob story about how you weren't ready and all that. So, and you want the world to feel sorry because he made you a single mother a second time over. It's like, no, take responsibility, talk about the men that you didn't have that gave you the stuff you asked for, but you didn't want them because you felt you can do better, and that didn't happen. So, it's really interesting. That's why I don't block and delete all the time, because it can be a good lesson. You do learn a lot just observing.
Right. So guys, for any of you who don't know about this article, Red Pill Rican and I are talking about, it's from the Washington Post. It is dated, what's the date? I think it was 2000. There it is. March 29th, 2019. The title is "The Share of Americans Not Having Sex Has Reached a Record High." You can blame young people for this dry spell, data shows. So,
monthly sex or week or in the past. That's more up to date. The one I saw is from 2018, and I see it still. Yeah.
Right. This one goes up to 2000. So it starts at 1989. No sex, monthly sex.
No sex at all. Okay, 20. Okay, I see it now. Yeah, 2018.
So there are a few charts in here. So I'm not gonna read it all. But so basically, the article is saying that across the board, people may be having a little bit more sex. But what's really making the numbers drop is, they say, but changes on the other end of the age spectrum may be playing an even bigger role. The portion of Americans 18 to 29 reporting no sex in the past year more than doubled between 2008 and 2018 to 23%. So it was like, I think 11%. It was, what was it? No, it was less than 10%. It was less. So in 2008, less than 10% of people between 18 and 29 were not having sex. 2018, it jumped to 23%. Now, I don't know if you saw this. Did you see this one? They're looking
No,
at,
no.
okay, so here's the deal. It's mostly guys, not the women.
That's the kicker right there, huh? That's
Right.
telling. I didn't come across that. Otherwise, I would have posted that. But that's a good find. Yeah, so that means the women are still doing their thing, but more men are getting out of the action. So this is why I think it kind of plays into what we said, you know. But yeah, that says a lot. But it is worthy to mention that it did jump up just a little bit, but not as dramatic as with the men.
Right, right. And well, so no, what? So this made the women jump because a lot of guys just opted out. They just said, "I'm out." So the women who would have normally hooked up, or dated those guys were now not available.
Yeah.
So the women may not have had a chance because, the other guys are they're occupied.
I think it has a lot, like I said, the internet as well. I mean, I don't want to toot our own horns, but but guys like us in the community, they've been doing that since around the mid 2000s as well. So it's possible that a lot of guys, because of social media, information spreads fast and they saw videos like this going on and it clicked in their minds possibly. So they're like, you know what? I'm going to be smarter about who I'm sleeping with or just stay away from it, like you said. Like, I really think that's part of a factor.
Well, there's another social fact, and I'm glad they put it in this article. So here they say for most of the past 3 decades, 20-something men and women reported similar rates of sexlessness. But that has changed in recent years. Since 2008, the share of men younger than 30 reporting no sex has nearly tripled to 28%. That's a much steeper increase than the 8 percentage points increase reported by their female. Like, that's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Now, here's where I was actually thinking about doing a video, and the title was going to be something like, "Are women destroying the number one thing they need from men? Protection." And this article is going to really kind of cover that. So,
someone asked if it includes the Transformers. You know what he means by that, right? It's the code word so that you don't get taken down or blacklisted with this video. Think of the LG, what community. That's what he's talking about. The Transformers,
Okay.
He's asking, does that include that? I don't think it's including that.
No, they're talking heterosexual. No.
Yeah,
no.
He's talking in code so that.
Oh yeah, no, I understand. I got you. And I see a bunch of guys coming in on Instagram, man. Thanks for joining, guys. If you want to see, I'm doing a screen share. Red Pill and Rican and I are on YouTube live stream, but I'm doing a screen share and I'm showing some charts of how it's showing more men opted out of sex than women. Women did too. There's a jump. But in this article, it's going to talk about part of where the problem is. And you and I haven't said it, Red Pill. So the survey showed, for instance, that 54% of unemployed Americans didn't have a steady romantic partner compared with 32% among the employed. Right. So this is where we're creating a social problem. And I think women are not looking far ahead. Young men also are more likely to be living with their parents than young women. In 2014, for instance, 35% of men age 18 to 34 were living with their parents. That's probably unprecedented, man.
That is. I left when I was 19.
So right. And only 29%. So look, 35% of men and only 29% of women in the same age group. At the risk of stating the obvious, when you're living at home, it's probably harder to bring sexual partners into your
Yeah,
group.
of course.
Right? One final factor that may be affecting American sexual habits at all ages is technology. There are a lot more things to do at 10 o'clock now than there were 20 years ago. So they're talking about how across the board, people in the
Mhm.
U.S. are having less sex, right? So they're saying technology. People are on social media. They're on, like Dave said, they're actually, instead of being with their significant other, they're sexting with someone else. Um, so here's where the concern is, and why I say women are killing off the thing they want from men. So women claim they want protection and provision from men. Except before the pandemic, you had 51% of the workforce was made up of women. So if you displace men, then these men don't have jobs, and women don't want to pay for dates. So who are they going to date? If you
They don't
have,
even want to pay for their own bills.
say that again.
They don't even want to pay for their own bills. But yeah, go.
Right. So if you take men out of the workforce, if the majority of the workforce, 51% is women, how many men were displaced? So the very men you want to date are now unavailable. You're not interested in them because they're living at home, they have no job. And one thing that a lot of articles don't say is a lot of these women who do have jobs and get their own place, they're still getting a check from their father. Their father's either paying a car note, he's paying a rent, because they're not managing their money well. They're way more. They talked about how, I saw a report and it was saying that baby boomers are in retirement and they're still funding their daughter's lifestyle.
Nah, I couldn't do that. Nope.
Yeah, but see, they're not living at home. So the guys are not getting that option, right? So one, you're putting more men, put more women in the workplace, and they do lower the bar. I mean, just think about, hell, you were in the military, right?
Yeah.
So if you say these are the standards to be in the military, if you don't meet these standards, maybe we have some administrative duties you can engage in, but you cannot be, part of the
Combat arms, MOS is.
right, combat unit, right. So you have to, this is the weight you carry. All men and women carry it. This is the time you have to run. And that's it. That's period. Same with being a fireman, right? The women couldn't carry the 200-pound dummy, so I think they dropped it down to 100 to make it. So we're giving women jobs, and they want to be paid equal, even though they're not doing the same job. There was a woman who was a welder, and she complained to the boss, the owner, and said, "Hey, you pay the men more than you pay me. This is discrimination." He said, "No, I've been watching you, and I dock you. You take more breaks. You go to the bathroom more. You take just breaks." And she said, "Well, that's not fair. I have to go to the bathroom. Sometimes I'm on my period." And he said, "So wait, that's your problem. You have a period and you get tired and need a break. Why should I penalize the men because you can't keep up?"
Thank you.
And she said, "Oh, fine. So I'll wear a diaper." So she just wore a diaper, so she didn't have to go to the bathroom for peeing or menstrual cycle. And she quit because she couldn't hold that pace. The men were just kept, banging it out.
Mm-hmm.
And so women want to be paid the same, even though they won't put in the hours and the same effort as men, and they want to be paid the same, which means technically you're paying the women more. You're paying them
less.
Right. You're paying them more to do less, and they're equal. So this is creating so many problems, man.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Go ahead.
Because I had similar happen, where I'm at. I'm not going to specifically state where and what I'm doing. I'm keeping it, hush hush for a reason. But I've seen it to where one woman actually came in and said, "Oh, I'm not up for this today. I'm just stressed from stuff going outside of work." And the supervisor, also being a woman herself, went ahead and gave her permission to go ahead and leave early. So one of the guys had to cover down extra for her shift. You know, and they'll also happen where there's a screen right there, you know, there's a list of patients that come up that need to be seen, right? And they'll be right there on their phones, texting away. And it is like, so is she gonna get these patients or not? You know what I mean? And they get us to a point where it's like, all right, we got to do this ourselves, you know. And then they want to, and when they see us take the action, then it's like, oh, you want me to go get the patients? Like, you knew full fuck, you know, you watch your language or anything, but you knew full well what needed to be done, and you're gonna wait. And then you get those where they actually give their boyfriends their work number, and the boyfriend calls to work, and then they're arguing right there on the phone. It's like, hey, you know, we got a patient in the room that needs a procedure done. Like, why are you arguing? Put the phone down. Tell him you deal with him later after work. And she's loud. Everyone can hear this.
Right.
So it's like they don't know how to leave their personal problems out of the workplace either. You know, and you want to leave work early because, you know, you say, oh, you're just not up for it. Like, none of us want to be there either, but here we are. You know what I'm saying? So,
right.
But I'm telling you, man, this is why, you know, people want to say, oh, women work just as hard as you. I mean, just because they're in the same position and got the same credentials doesn't mean they're putting in the equal work. You know, this goes back to how much value you bring to the workplace. Just because you've been there for the same amount of time with the same credentials in the same position doesn't mean you're worth more. And this, we you spoke about this, where I think the Department of Labor themselves, they showed that men actually tend to stay longer for overtime. You know, we don't tend to use our vacation times. You know, we'll travel if the work needs us to. You know what I'm saying? We're willing to do what's necessary to progress and make extra money. Meanwhile, women is like, bare minimum. You know, if at all.
And so, take a guess how much the percentages, how much more sick leave women take when they have children than men.
Oh, way more. Leaving early, you know.
Take a guess what the percentage is.
30% more?
Double.
60. Oh, I wasn't even close.
Yeah. 60. Look, man, I've done so much like you. I've done so much research in that area. Productivity for corporate America is down in from 1949 until 1968, productivity in the workforce was 108%. Pretty sure that number is accurate. 108%. That was workplace productivity, right? That means people were functioning at 108% of capacity, right? So men were working so hard, they were working more than 100% capacity.
High value.
From 1969 until 2015, it's only 69%.
That's a loss of money for the business as well.
So that means corporate America is not as productive as it used to be, right? So that means we are subsidizing women in the workforce who are not as productive, which means companies have to raise their prices to be able to pay for less productive employees. So now you need a two-income household because we have to pay. So we're all paying for women in the workforce, and
exactly,
making us less competitive.
And we're compensating for what they're not making. And for you guys who want to know how this relates to 80-20 rule, well, there you go, because it shows that women only go for certain types of men that have their own place. And as the study shows, what was it? How much don't have their own place? Like, what was it?
Oh, what was the?
Yeah, because they can't even afford their own place.
I think it was 29. Let me go to that section.
Yeah, so so it actually makes things harder, you know, even for themselves. I mean, women literally put themselves in a position to where they have to work harder, you know, to stand out more, to compensate for men that aren't, you know, able to make things happen. I mean, it is pretty difficult if you don't have your own place. I mean, what you're gonna do? You know, tell your parents, "Hey, I'm gonna bring someone over." That's not gonna fly over very well. But
like, sure, you can sit in the living room and watch television.
That's about it. Or waste money getting a hotel room, and no.
But if he can't even get a job because they've got this women program, I want to go to. I'm going to kind of go to the beginning, but just one more thing. So I met a guy who gets paid to recruit people to buy franchises, and he said he'd been doing it for 30 years, and he said the past 10 years he never had so many men who were in their 50s looking to buy franchises. Why? Because they couldn't get hired. He said these were the men who were at their prime, like their absolute earning prime, because they had 30 years of experience. Some were executives. Like these guys made a lot of money, and when you lay off people, right? So they get laid off. Well, they couldn't get jobs because HR was only hiring women. They wouldn't hire men. And these guys in the past, he said, would have found jobs in 6 months. Now it was either taking 18 months or they found nothing. Mm-hmm. So HR is freezing men out of the workforce.
It's funny you say that, man, because that brings me back to a job interview I had back in late 2016 at an orthodontist office, a dentist office. Well, of course, it was an all-female staff. I noticed it. And other women also, and all the people waiting there for the interview as well were also women. And one of the first questions the lady asked me was, so you're okay with working in an all-female environment? And I'm like, doesn't bother me. I'm here to work, I'm not here to flirt or date. And right there and then I already knew I wasn't going to get hired. I mean, it was already implied that it could be a problem. So I already knew what that meant, So obviously I wasn't expecting a call back but that comes to show you that a lot of places not going to hire men because maybe their own prejudices, if it's a woman, especially in charge, or they're trying to be, inclusive where, hey, we don't have enough women representing. We need to get the women in here too, And like you said, that hurts production. And then that also comes to about degrees, how they get devalued, because so many women now are getting degrees. They're oversaturating markets. And then they wonder why there are bachelor's degrees out there only paying like $13 an hour, or why they got to wait like 10 years for a job opening, even if it is a good job. And also why more and more men are going towards entrepreneurship or going, to trades instead, because that's where the real money is at, because it's not, like making 40, 50 an hour, or even being linemen, getting apprenticeships. You know what I'm saying? So.
Right. Well, hell, you work on those oil rigs, like minimum wage is like $50 an hour. So.
He asked a good question. Do companies get incentives for hiring females? It wouldn't surprise me.
They do. Yes,
they do. What?
Absolutely. Yeah. There are programs for that.
IT field. It goes out of the way to bring women into. You see, it shouldn't be because they're women. It should be, are they excelling at their job? You see what I'm saying? Like, all right, I'll let you talk to him. My bad.
No, you're fine. Right. See, Dave said it. They go out of their way to hire women, and the problem is there aren't a lot of women in there. But someone made a statement that's interesting. He said everyone doesn't get a trophy. If you ain't prepared, you won't be getting the sex you want. What do you think?
Who said that?
It's an Instagram. Sydney. I'm looking.
Not everyone gets a trophy. Oh, he's referring to that 80-20 rule, where essentially you have to be a certain status level to get, the ladies. But you see, that's something I'm glad he brought up, because that 80-20 rule is so subjective. Because you see, I was never a rich guy, and I'm still not right now. I do okay. I'm not rich, and not having 6 figures isn't really hurting me none. I'm 5'10". I'm not 6 feet. It doesn't slow me down none. You know what I'm saying? Right. The 80-20 rule, like I'm telling people, I think it has a lot to do with men themselves, their mentality. I mean, you see how men behave on social media and in public when dealing with women. And I think, again, with social media, I'm glad this comes up right now. It also took away from the face-to-face factor, so men aren't developing the social skills that our parents and grandparents needed, back in the days, because everything has been reduced to a computer screen. It's not the same as face-to-face. You see a text message, you don't see a face, you don't see body language. So, that's another thing. A lot of men, they talk themselves out of the action because they don't know how to behave, or they're doing too much, so it's not necessarily, has to do with money and status and all that. It's how do you conduct yourselves? You know what I'm saying? And because someone else brought this up under my post, he said, because all women want tall, handsome men with money. Well, one of my buddies is 5'6". And he works out every now and then, but he's still kind of pudgy. He doesn't hit the gym the way he should, but he's good with the ladies. He doesn't mess with no bum ass women either. I've seen it for myself, the women he gets. But he's like one of those social butterflies where he makes friends very easily. People gravitate towards him. it's just the energy and the way he talks. He knows how to talk. He's not socially awkward, so that plays into it.
Right.
And that's the reason most men are just socially awkward. So, but yeah, it kind of got off topic. Kind of got to like a pickup type
No,
thing.
no. But see that's another thing to address, right? So, and I wanted to talk about that. So, you take the father out of the home, and the boy is missing some examples. So, you know, your mother's telling you how to treat women.
Oh
right?
yeah, you know how that works.
Your mother, your aunt, your grandmother, they're all telling you how to treat. So what this guy is saying, there's some validity in that, right? So you don't get the trophy because a lot of women give bad advice, right? They say, I want to give you a real example. Oh, I went to this book signing at someone's house, right? So I'm the height of your buddy, and I see this. Someone was presenting their book. It was at someone's house and it was in the backyard. I hesitated because I don't know who's listening. So she may be listening to me. So anyway, I bought a book from the author and I had it sitting on a table. And this woman who I saw all the guys talking to her that night, every guy, it looked like, took his chance to shoot his shot.
Mm-hmm.
I saw her and she picked up my book. And I said, well, if you take my book, I'm going to take you. So I picked her up and carried, and I just held her up. And she was like, what are you doing? I don't even know you. I said, well, you know me now, right? So she's saying, well, you have to put me down. And I wouldn't put her down. And she started feeling my chest and arms. She said, okay, you're strong. Now, she's taller than me. She's at least 5'8". And she said, you're a caveman, and if this is the way you approach women, it's all wrong. She said, are you married? I said, no, never been married. She said, well, I can see why. And and then I started making sexual innuendos. She's like, this is not the way to talk to me. This is all wrong. Blah, blah, blah. She's going blah, 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 blah. I pull out my phone. It was an old iPhone, like, one of the first ones off the assembly line. She started laughing. And she was from Spain, so she was just visiting here.
Mm-hmm.
She puts her number in my phone, and when I finally called her, I said, a lot of those guys approached you. How many numbers did you give out? And she said, none. I said, wait, you gave me your number, and everything I did was wrong according to you.
Mm-hmm.
Everything I did, I said sexual innuendos. You called me a caveman, and I didn't even have any neurons in my brain. Yet you gave me your number. So that woman has a son. She probably gives him all the advice on how to be nice to women and gentle, and they want to make love. And like when we're boys, we're taught girls are made of sugar and spice and everything nice and all this stuff. And I think that's how we get steered wrong. So if you're in a home without a man in the house and you don't see this other side of how a man conducts himself, all you have is your mother telling you how to deal with women, and you're going to come off soft, and the women are going to feel like, well, I'm not going to get my needs met, and I can walk all over this guy. And so then you don't get the trophy like this guy is saying. And this guy would probably say, I've seen him before, if you don't have game, then you don't get the trophy.
Mm-hmm. What else? You kind of froze up. Yeah, because you see, it goes back to what you're saying. As boys, we're getting told like, hey, the whole, pull out the chair, hold open the door, and all this stuff. And we know that's not what women respond to. You know what I'm saying? And plus, they got hundreds of other guys trying to do the same thing. And then you got that one guy who appears to be more exciting, like he's breaking all the rules, the bad guy, right? But that's the guy that gets her attention.
Exactly.
So, it's the whole toxicity type thing that they're attracted to that they can't resist.
I broke every rule, man. I violated everything. I took clothes. I violated personal space. I didn't even ask her, and I didn't say anything. I just said, you take my book, I'm taking you. You're mine now. I own you. And no woman supposedly wants to hear you own her.
You're being dominant. That's what it was all about.
Absolute flat out. I'm done. And that was what I wanted to establish with her. That I'm dominant, and no matter how you ask me to put you down, I can stand here forever. I have that much power, and I won't put you down. And you can demand it, and there's nothing you can do. I own you now. And I'm women actually like that. As much as a lot of women might hate to hear that.
It's true. As a matter of fact, if you want, you can look it up while I'm speaking on it. Harvard actually dropped a study speaking about how women actually prefer strong, dominant men, you know, for a short-term pleasure, like just for the fun thing. But when it comes down the road, you know, when it's all used up, okay, now I need the nice guy to come, you know, provide for me and everything. So in other words, when you're the strong, dominant guy, she breaks all the rules for you. She'll give you everything quickly.
Exactly.
And then you got the other guy, the nice guy, is buying her flowers or showing up with chocolate, you know. He's getting the whole, you know, she's a nun and everything, you know. She's a good girl. She don't get down like that. But behind the scenes, you know, she's over here, you know, getting turned out, you know, getting ready for round 3 or round 4. You know what I mean?
Well, and unfortunately, the way she put her number in my phone and WhatsApp, I couldn't call. It didn't work, right? I couldn't reach her, so I didn't reach her until she went back to Spain. Like somehow, and so when I did, she was like, "Oh, I remember you. You're the caveman with no neurons in your brain, you know." But she's giggling and laughing and had, you know, it's exactly what you're saying. She's ready to have a good time with me and thinking that there's nothing beyond a quick, you know, good time with this guy, and that's it.
Imperator, no, I mean, you missed the point. What we're saying, we're talking about what works on women and what doesn't. Yeah, the point's going over your head, man. That's not what we're talking about.
No,
we're talking about.
He may have come in. He may have just come in.
Yeah, he may have just missed the more important parts. We're talking about the difference between, like, what happens when there's no male influence showing you how it's done and you're being raised by the woman. You're actually, because women are the ones raising boys to be these weak men that women walk all over. They're raising their sons to be the types of men that they themselves would never date. Exactly. And this is where you get this 23%, like you said, increase of men, you know, being sexless, whether it's choice or not. I mean, it just comes to show you how you listen to women and you have a lot of feminine influence, you're going to come off as weak to women. That's where it gets to. That's the whole point. And I was also telling him how there's a study done by Harvard themselves that proves exactly what we're talking about, that they put rules on certain guys, but when you meet a certain criteria, women will break all those rules. All that goes out the window, and women start acting the way they're supposed to behave. That's the whole point of what we're talking about. But
2 guys actually did an experiment on purpose. They were friends. And they were at a bar, and one was he was a doctor and he was dressed clean cut, and his buddy was like Mr. Personality, sort of like you were saying, your friend, and he was personality, flirtatious. Yeah. So the dude with a big personality would say inappropriate things to the women, and they laughed and giggled. When the dude who was a doctor said it, they said, "Oh, you shouldn't say things like that." They scolded him for speaking like that. But the other guy he was just for fun and sex. And the doctor, they would rather show proper etiquette in front of the doctor because they want.
That's the energy he was giving off. He was giving off that I'm the husband boyfriend material.
Exactly.
And that comes back to the female dating strategies that I shared, where they're actually telling other women that it's very important that you don't tell a man about your sexual history or what you really got going on, because you want to keep these guys around. And this, again, I mean, our points get proven so many times, and we don't need no scholarly articles. We see this day in and day out. The women, thanks to social media, I mean, this is why they need to get off social media. They tell on themselves. They spill all their secrets out there, you know, verifying what we talk about. But back to this whole single mother thing, that also talks about where I feel like a lot of single mothers, what they do is they guilt their sons for being a man, of being a boy, where they grow up telling their sons, you know, hey, you know, men ain't nothing, you know, men are garbage, you know, because the guy that she had, you know, to have her son, he's out the picture, and the son grows up feeling like, you know what, I need to compensate for this somehow and treat other women the opposite. But what the mom isn't telling them is that, first off, she had a choice to deal with him or not. She knew the stuff about him beforehand. She went with him because he seemed more exciting. Like you said, he broke all the rules instead of, you know, sticking to them. She got knocked up by the dude. He bounced because he wasn't there for no relationship. So
Right.
you need to start asking your mom some questions. So what did you see in my father that that you still dealt with him this whole time anyway and managed to sleep with him? It's gonna answer a lot of questions, that need to be answered honestly, because in my opinion, I think it should be emotional abuse to make your son feel guilty for what the mom's done. In my opinion, you're gonna make him feel guilty because of your choice of men.
Technically, it is.
That's how, yeah. And we see it when they become grown, So
I want to. We have another guy. He's a younger guy, Red Pill Ghost.
I see him. I was wondering who that is.
So hold just Red Pill Ghost before you go.
Hey, how's it going?
All right, how you feeling?
What's up, Red Pill Rican?
Man,
I'm a fan of your channel, actually, man. So
hold on,
Hey,
Red Pill Ghost. Hold on 1 second. Imperator.
Yeah.
So the topic today is why is young male virginity on the rise? And so I shared a screen and showed how young men between 18 and 29 are there's a significant amount of guys between 18 and 29 who are not having sex. They're virgins. And so we're looking at the source, like we're teasing out like different avenues of why this is happening. So I think you came in when we were talking about how women, a mother will tell her son how to treat women, except that's not what she really wants. So I use my own personal story to exemplify how that happens. But Red Pill Ghost, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, like about the topping stuff, like my mom, oh man, she did the same thing too, I mean, like during my high school days and stuff, she told me and stuff to just treat the females, and just nice and stuff. But like I know this like at 15 and stuff, like just women stuff were just pushing me off and stuff, and they're ignoring me and stuff. But when I started just treating them like shit and stuff, they started just coming back to me and stuff. So I know the perspective and stuff now, of your statements and stuff. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, treat women like shit. They love the toxic, just masculinity and stuff. Cause I did the same thing, and now I'm and now I'm 19 right now, and I've been just following that just same mindset and stuff, so yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't think you necessarily have to treat women like shit per se.
Yeah.
But I would say just do what you want as a man. I would say you live for yourself. The woman's supposed to follow your lead. You get what I'm saying? That's not necessarily treat her like shit. You just let her know, like, hey, I got other priorities. Like, you're gonna follow what I want, or you could get gone.
Be the dominant one, pretty much, right?
Yeah, that's it.
The dominant one. Yeah. I noticed that in high school and stuff, because I did the same thing. Because I led and stuff, and she came back and chased. So, but yeah, I mean, high school was a whole different experience and stuff, because women were hella thirsty in high school, man. They were just blowing dudes off just every day, man. So that's the crazy thing in high school. Yeah.
About that though, that's gonna be my next topic for my own video. Talk about how everything we preach men to be doing, because that's originally what men were doing anyway, like putting ourselves first. That's ironically what they're teaching women. Like what Ted said, they're telling them, hey, do everything that a man could, wait, start a career first, finish it, and then when you're 40, settle down and have a family. That doesn't work out well for women. But they encourage, what they're doing is they're encouraging women to be masculine. But for us, for us to practice it, for some reason, they don't want us to do it. So that's going to be a topic for my next video that I'll do on my YouTube channel, about how masculinity is very powerful, because it's so powerful that they want women to practice it, but they want to try to downplay it for us.
Well, no, they told men to find their feminine side and women to find their masculine side.
Yeah.
So here's my theory on what happened with that. So they tried to find a masculine side, and they failed at it. Couldn't pull it off. So what do you do when you fail at it? You just say, well, it's toxic, it's bad, masculinity is horrible, because they couldn't pull it off. And I'm going to say something that, you know, out of joking, but hell, Bruce Jenner proved that men could be a better woman.
Yeah, he won Woman of the Year, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. That's my point.
Oh yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did. He did.
So men could still be masculine and dominant, and then go be a woman and win Woman of the Year, right? So
I would never do that shit.
And we see even with the Transformers. Again, we're speaking in code here, so
okay, I understand.
With the Transformers, you know, because they found out that a lot of them were taking over female scholarships and taking over their spots.
Yeah, exactly.
So the women, the biggest supporters, were throwing a fit. It's like you women were literally fighting for them to have this right. Exactly. They're dominating your sports, and now you're upset and want it repealed. So now they got a case of the list, and they got what they asked for, and it's like, well, there you go. You want to go with what they feel like, and this is the result you get. So.
Transformers. The Transformers.
This is what happens when we listen. I'm gonna say this is what happens when we listen to women and let them dictate what goes on because of their feelings and emotions. You see how counterproductive it becomes.
I hate oh my god, the masculine females and stuff are so annoying, man. Oh my god. Like at the college, like I mean at the level and stuff, like I hate those type of females. Like they're ignorant as hell, man. They're like a pain in the ass.
So I have a suggestion, because it's technically an insult to say a woman is masculine. To be masculine is biochemical, and when you look at the brain, the neuroscience of being a man and woman is not the same. They are not in our playing field. When women there's a biochemical chemical called vasopressin. And they've measured when a woman has too much vasopressin, and while she's in the womb, those women grow up to be misfits. They become prostitutes, drug addicts, alcoholics. They end up in prison because their body and brain cannot support that male biochemical, right? So being masculine is way more than just having a dick between your legs, right? So it's our biochemistry, and there's no way they can compete with it. And when you look at the way the brain functions, the way a man and woman's brain functions is noticeably different, and it affects our decision makings. It affects how we take risks. It affects our creativity, innovation, all that. So it's an insult to men to say that a woman is masculine, because she has no clue. She's better off getting on all fours and barking and saying she's a dog. Because a woman is going to look crazy on all fours barking, saying I'm a dog, I'm a poodle, or a Great Dane. She's going to look more ridiculous saying I'm a man or I'm masculine. And if men would actually treat women like any woman who attempts to think she's masculine, treat her like she's on all fours barking. And I think men need to check that and stop believing that women are masculine, because they'll end up telling us what it means to be masculine. And that's from their perspective. And they don't have the biochemistry to have a clue as to what's going on. Because when a man becomes a raging bull, they don't understand that.
That's like when we see these women make these posts about what a real man is and he's supposed to do. It's like, first off, what the hell would you know about what makes a real man? And if that was makes a real man, then why all the guys you've been with the complete opposite of what you're posting? You know what I'm saying? So this is why we can't listen to women when they give out dating advice and what they talk about. You know,
that's true.
You know, and it's like it comes back to a post I made that I found rather like it was comedy based on humor, where it had one handsome, good-looking guy. You know, he's muscular, and he's basically saying, "Hey, you know, that dress looks sexy on you." And then it has another guy, ugly. You seen it? And he's saying the same thing, but yet that's considered harassment. I mean, what makes this guy better than the other one? They're both saying the same thing. You know what I'm saying? And that comes down to what we said about breaking the rules, for certain men, even though they both did the same thing.
Exactly. So actually, that's I was trying to get to this guy's comment, and he said, women will always gravitate to rule breakers. That's
Always.
and then he said, on topic is it's on the rise because these men being virgins is on the rise because they have no mentors. Period. And that was what we were getting at. If you're raised by a single mother, who's to show you what a man and you? There's not even a conversation about it to relate to that. And any woman saying she can be the mother and the father is delusional. So.
And this guy, Chaos for You 728, because I brought up about how, sons need to start asking their moms, hey, if my father was so bad and men were so bad, then why you stay with him for so long? You know what I'm saying? Why did you choose him? And he pretty much said that he asked his mom the same question, and the convo ended with her yelling. That's just an example, women don't want to be put in a position to where they have to defend their actions and decisions. You see what I'm saying? Like, I mean, God forbid they get held accountable, because we acknowledge that women are the gatekeepers to sex, whether they want to admit that or not. They themselves know it. They like to boast about how they can sleep with any guy that they want, right? Okay, well, you have to accept responsibility of who you let in there then. I mean, if you're just letting anybody in, especially those that you claim don't fit the real man, definition, then whose fault is that?
Well, I think I hate to say movie, but you see these movies where the guy is a master thief and he knows how to pick the safe, pick the lock in the safe.
Yeah.
Women have a combination just like a lock in a safe. And so it's you could say, so for the guys, so there's some guys who've walked away and don't want to engage. They don't want to deal with child support and all that stuff, right? And there's some guys who don't know how to crack the code. And women really do have a code. And part of the problem is guys are trying to stay within the lines of rules. And the guys who break the rules are more likely to get laid. So, you can even tell a woman, hey, look, you and I there are lots of ways, more eloquent ways to do it than what I'm going to say. But you and I are going to lay down. If that's not what you want, you should hang up the phone right now. Or if you're in person, you should get up and run and get away. Don't ever come around me again. Good. Now that we established that, right? So now we need to talk about, because I said to a woman once, I said, I have a problem with men and women who are adults coming together and women being the only one deciding if and when sex will happen. If we're supposed to be adults and you want to be treated as an equal, we need to talk about when is sex going to happen and what do you need from me to make it happen? What do you need? Can it happen by next week? I mean, so it gets in the way of this whole barrier of her being a gatekeeper, because I'm trying to kick the gate down and come in at will whenever I want.
Yeah, but that comes with breaking the rules generally.
Okay.
That a lot of guys, they're afraid to break. That comes back with the whole, they don't have the social interaction to understand this. That the fact that you're playing it safe, trying to be Mr. Gentleman, Mr. Chivalrous, that's not going to get you what you want. So that comes down to that as well. So, but I do agree with that. And I think, what? It also pays off that, men also need to learn how to turn down sex as well.
Exactly.
And me and Blackhearted, we had conversations about that as well, that, a woman should not be able to have you anytime she wants. You know what I'm saying? You need to be able to say, no, we ain't doing that just as much, because once a woman sees that she can have you anytime you want, your value also diminishes, because she sees like, okay, I can have it anytime I want. So now you're just like all the other guys. So
right. Well, there are women you should say no to, period. Like, just never,
Oh yeah, the bottom two. Yeah.
Right. It's like, yeah, I got you. You're in my inbox. And because I've had women say, well, I thought men would have sex with anyone. How could you tell me no? Well, I told you what I like, women who are physically fit. You're not that. So I can't do it.
Yeah. Most men will, unfortunately, though. So we gotta be. I mean, we gotta hold men accountable as well. Most men they will just for the sake of getting their rocks off, unfortunately. But for those that may apply, I just want you to know that post nut clarity is real. You will regret it. All right. So,
That's true. That's
you
true.
will, man. You're gonna be leaving the house under the cover of darkness. Hope no one sees you. Hope no one got your license plate or nothing like that.
Yo,
It's gonna
that
be
happened
like,
to me.
damn. Like,
That shit
God,
happened.
I'm telling you, I'm not gonna front. I've had moments like that. I'm like, what the hell, man? You know, I'm like, I hope no one sees me walk out of this house, but I ain't gonna front. I think every man got at least 2 or 3 women that he wishes.
Yeah, you got
You
to
know,
cover what you need. Look, you could probably have a hell of a lot more, and maybe let's say most guys have 2 or 3, but there's some guys who have 10, 20, or 30, right?
and that's not a mistake at that point. That's just
exactly. So what I mean, there should be women that you say no.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm not doing it. It's like, hey, look, I love tits and you have nice big tits, but what comes with it, I can't deal with that. So sorry.
Yeah.
And men shouldn't be afraid to say that because then some women are like, well, no man has ever said that to me before. And then I'm thinking, well, what are guys saying? What are you just telling these women? Oh, you're hot, your body's fire, and she's 5'4", 220. I mean, that's
terrible, man.
that's a defensive tackle.
No, that's a linebacker.
That's Kirby, that video game character. That's what that is.
Oh, man.
I'll tell you, man. But you know what? You'd be surprised, man. There are some guys that they try to be discreet because they just want to get their rocks off. So that's one of the reasons. That goes back to why women are becoming more picky because they do get guys that can get better,
right?
And that's not front. There are guys that they could get way better than a lot of these women, but the way the men see it, it's a quick and easy, easy nut. So why not? As long as no one else finds out about it.
Yeah.
And that's where these women get these unrealistic expectations. Like, oh, well, I had a couple of guys like this. I can do it again. No, you're a good time. That was it. The guy's not posting you. He doesn't want anyone to know about you. You see what I'm saying? So,
maybe going to like the massage parlors and stuff. Like, I mean, those places and stuff. Yeah, I know like a lot of like people that just do that shit and just get their rocks off. You know what I'm saying by that?
Yeah, and chaos. Nope, not necessarily. Being a chivalrous gentleman doesn't get you just single mothers. You still single mothers because even they'll be picky.
Oh, absolutely.
Even they'll be picky. So even they'll talk to you, even though they're in no position to turn you down, they still will just because they think they can get better. And this is why they're like 50 years old, 60, still got no guy, and it's like you had your chance like 20 years ago. A guy was willing to rescue you when you were 38 years old with 2 kids. You turned him down because you thought he was beneath you because he's treating you nice. Now look at you. So not necessarily.
I have a professor like that actually. Yeah, that's crazy though.
What you mean? What's with the professor?
Nah, like she's been like just single and stuff. Just her her whole life. She's like 65 and stuff, and like she said in our Zoom class that she like turned down like some like just I think it was like a surgeon or something like that, like I'm in the military, and like she turned him down, and like she's been alone like the past 40 years of her life. I was like, damn, that's crazy. I know what you mean by that though. It's kind of like like a lot of these females are like they're just so picky, honestly, man. It's just crazy.
And that's like I would use myself as an example because I think we were all simps at one time. I mean, I'm speaking for myself because I don't know, maybe some of y'all grew up with Max and y'all know the game, but I was doing a lot of the stuff. This is where I'm talking from experience because I was doing the same thing before I found the rest of you better, where same deal. She was like 37, 38. She had 2 kids, mind you.
Okay.
And meanwhile, here I am at the time. How old was I? I was just 31, 32. I only had 1 kid. And even though she had like 2 degrees, a bachelor's and an associate's, I still made about $10,000 more than her, just working at a warehouse, putting in that work. So I was more financially stable than her, less baggage, younger than her, But yeah, here she is, treating me like I'm some damn fan because I'm being the chivalrous gentleman. I'll bring her food sometimes. I'll help her clean up around the house. I was being your typical orbiter. All right, I'm gonna put it out there. And then it got to the point where, I even gave her certainty and I deleted all my apps out of respect for her. But I found out she wasn't returning that favor because she actually hit up one of my boys on the app and he recognized her. He's like, yo, weren't you talking to this chick? I'm like, yeah, I sure was. I sure am. And that's how I found out that she never got rid of her stuff. She was still keeping her options open, while still treating me like a second-rate citizen. And mind you, despite I was the one out of her league through that kind of aspect. It's like, and she was receiving $1,100 a month in child support and still barely making it. So it was like, I'm younger than you. I got less baggage. I make more money. And yeah, you're going to treat me like this? It's like, I'm the one settling in this case. But the way she saw it, I was beneath her because of the stuff I was doing, my behaviors. So I'm telling you, man, even women like that will still, be ridiculously unrealistic.
Yeah, for real though. Yeah.
Yeah, I orbited her for like a year, man. That was a year I never get back, but
yeah.
Never got play either, by the way. Yep.
Wow,
that makes it worse.
So, and this might not apply for anyone listening, but so as boys, young men, you have an advantage of having women in your family, whether it's female cousins, your aunts, your grandmother, your mother. And if you really watch their behavior, I have a relative, and she's very attractive. She's much taller than the average woman. And she had guys buying her cars and diamonds. I mean, no, I'm telling you, man. And I remember one of the guys talking to me and saying, "Yeah, I know what she's doing. I'm getting mine, even though she's getting a car from me and getting money and all this other stuff." And I'm just listening. I'm a teenager listening to this guy. So I was being schooled. So, as a kid, I would just stand around watching the adults and listen to what was being said. So I listened to guys say women should come with instructions. I'm listening to the women gossip and talk about what they're getting from men. So if you just pay attention to what's happening in your life, you can be well educated without actually having to be out there like that.
Yep. Listening is the best teacher, man. I mean, I've seen it just hearing crowds of women talk, One of them even did the math for child support should her divorce terminate, and she calculated at $2,200 a month. It's like, why are you even calculating this stuff? You know what I'm saying? Like, you got dollars in her mind. When you listen to women talk, you also learn a lot, man.
Yeah.
And I don't think they realized it, but I'm sitting right behind y'all and I'm hearing all this. So, but you know what?
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, this guy Lando, he understands. Women in my family red pilled me. They ain't no better than your average woman. So the more you offer, the more they take. No conscience.
It's true.
So.
And in my opinion, I think older women are the same. It's just that there was no social media at the time to expose all this.
Exactly.
And we see it now where you see 40, 50, even 60-year-old women, they're on dating apps, they're on social media, they're posting thirst traps as well. It's like they're trying to make up for lost time for what wasn't available to them back in the days.
Right.
And I think a lot of them, because of how things were back in the days, they're trying to fulfill, their suppressed sexual fantasies that they didn't feel comfortable doing with their husbands and boyfriends and such. You know what I'm saying? And they know how easy it is, because I'm sure they get DMs as well from guys. And they feel like, you know what? I'm going to use this to my advantage because this is stuff I wanted to do when I was younger. But now I got the internet in my hands where I can make this happen in an instant. And guys are going to take up on that offer.
Yeah.
And just being extreme. Yeah. Hey, I never had a train ran on me. I want to try this out and see what it's like. Or, I never had 3 guys in one day before, at different times. Let me go make this happen. So, and people think I'm being extreme, but it's a very real thing because I have my share of older women as well. They're just as bad. And a lot of times you won't find out they're married until after the fact. They actually hide that from you until after. So a lot
I
of guys
got
thinking you're
yeah.
intentionally looking for taking women. No, most of the time you won't find out till after. So, and that's if they don't care. You know what I'm saying? Like the phone will ring and don't answer and just tell you like, oh hey baby, you know, it's like, well, what? So
Before the cell phones, I met a married woman, and her husband answered the phone. I thought it was her. I thought it was her brother, right? Because she said hello to me first, and we talked. We exchanged numbers, and I call. A guy answers. Think about it. Like what married woman would give you her phone number
to the to house number.
to
Yeah.
her home? This was no cell phone. This was to her, landline at home. And we talked for a while, and then she had to go, and she called me back and said, "Oh, you do know I'm married, right?" I'm like, "What? Like, how would I know you're married?"
Yeah, why would you even give me the number and answer my calls if you that defies logic right there, but
But I'm supporting what you're saying, right? So
Mhm.
this was before these things have happened before social media. So this woman was 38, I was 28, so she was older, and she knew what she was looking for.
And you see, so you know what, and you know what, and I think like back to the social media thing, it really just amplified, what's already there.
Right,
You know what I'm
right.
saying? And back then, like I say, it was just harder. Actually, I wouldn't say it was harder for women to sleep around. I would just say that they actually had to put in more work. Like I said, they couldn't just meet guys from the internet. They actually go out there. And if you're a married woman, it's not going to be as easy. I hear a lot of background noise, Ghost. Is that you?
Oh shit, my bad, yo.
Yeah, it sounds staticky.
No, they had no problem. There was another married woman I met who she had a 14-year-old daughter, and she would be calling me from a payphone in front of her 14-year-old daughter.
Wow, the good old payphones.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I didn't, and what made it worse was she actually was married and wanted to have a relationship. She's like, "Oh, you think I'm just here for sex?" And I'm like, "Well, you're married." She's like, "Well, I want to go out and go to the gym and work out and go to, do all like boyfriend and girlfriend." I'm like, "You're married."
That's the husband's job. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So, um,
If you're gonna be the side dude, your sole purpose is to lay pipe. Everything else is for the
exactly.
husband. I'm
I
like,
know my job. Exactly.
now that's just being greedy right there. Like she got some nerve. But
So I mean, so when you say it was harder back then, no, they used payphones, they used all kind of,
yeah, well, I mean harder in the sense to where, they can't just go through their pocket and take out a phone. They actually go out to make things happen. It was just as easy in person. I'm talking about where, they didn't just be on their phone behind a secret password and hitting apps and all this stuff. And Red Pill Awareness spoke about this, that there was a woman who, I don't know if he's watching. I hope he is. He could comment about it. I hope he's watching. But me and him did a live, and he was talking about how there was one woman who actually designed an app for women where that's where they store all the pictures, the secret
right.
numbers. It looks like any other app you would never saw.
Oh, is it the calculator app?
No, not the calculator app. It was something else.
Okay.
It was designed for women. It was the live I did with him. It's in my show, by the way. You gotta find it. But he brought it up, man.
Man,
It
that's
was like,
shady
what?
as hell. Man, that's shady, dog.
Like women will have like 10 different Instagram accounts and they'll just accept certain people to make it private. And it's just like, that is just way too much,
Oh yeah, the spam Instagrams and stuff are like sketchy, yo. I know some females like that, and they just like I don't know, they're just like sketchy, man. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
What's interesting. So we're talking about all the sex that's happening, and we still have a growing population of young guys who have either opted out or they were frozen out because they didn't know how to, they didn't have the combination to get into the girl's pants. So they just said, forget it, I'm out. And that number's growing, I think, though.
Yeah.
You know what though? But
Yeah, so
what I find ironic is that despite all the information that's out there, despite women spilling the beans on themselves, there are still guys out there who refuse to understand and believe what we're talking about. And it's like we show studies from accredited sources. We're sharing even text messages that we get from certain women. Like months ago, I actually shared a text message with this chick I was seeing, or I was hooking up with. And basically, she played the old innocent weak woman thing, right? They unloaded the truck for her for free. And I was like, well, damn, well, you know what they're really looking for, right? She was like, yeah, well, they ain't gonna get it. I just see them as nothing more than free labor. Like just like that. I'm like, these guys are trying to be gentlemen, and that's what you think of them. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, a lot of these guys don't understand. You play this role, you're just gonna look like a weak ass dude. You know, you can't come to a damsel in distress rescue every time. You're allowed to ignore them. So when you go ahead and you try to be this nice guy, it ain't gonna work out for you. I mean, how much more proof do these guys want? I mean, even women out there openly admitting that they got like 5 guys, you know, like one that pays her bills, another one that takes her out. They'll even post pictures and videos of themselves out with other guys, you know, and the guy will still be persistent and try to compete for that woman. It's like, he can have her. You know what I mean? It's like guys just don't register in their head, you know, what's going on. They make themselves frustrated and they waste time with women that would never even give them the time of day. And I think that also adds into their sexual frustrations. It's like, well, you're still chasing a woman who doesn't want you. When you could have spent that time and you could have came across a woman that would have wanted you the same way. But you choose to waste time with this woman who's not making herself available to you. And for what? Pretty much disrespecting you too. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my God, the Cali guys out here are like all Sims, you know. They're all like crazy ass Sims out here, man. It's just like insane, you know.
Yeah. And chaos for you 728. Women sleeping around comes from empowering to sleep. And you see, that is true. They tell women, you know, shop around, sleep around, you know, see what you really like. But there are so many studies out there. There's even a book written by biochemists that shows that women who sleep around is actually detrimental to them on a biochemical level.
Yep.
So it's like, this is another reason why men and women, we are not equals. We have too many pluses and minuses that don't make us the same. Us men can have 1,000 bodies. It's not going to affect us the same way it does with women. Women actually like what? I think like five men, they're pretty much done.
Five is their roof. Once they get to 6, they're 3 times less likely to be in an emotionally stable relationship. And the more they go over 6, the more likely they are in an emotionally unstable relationship. So, and so that might be another reason guys are opting out, right? So they're meeting women who are coming off as emotionally unstable.
Stable, yeah.
It's better to just say I'm out. I'm, you know, like Shark Tank, I'm out.
And there's another thing that comes up about how, what is it? I think like they say like 70% of women can't orgasm. But that comes from the fact that they have so many sexual partners that they lost that ability to be satisfied like that anymore. Like it's never enough now. They constantly need more and more. And that comes back with the instability. And instability is the word I'm thinking of. And they show that women, like you said, after 5 bodies, they're no longer marriage material because they can't be happy with just one guy. So
I can see that part because they say it causes emotional trauma to the brain. And it could affect the flow of oxytocin and her ability to bond. And what the woman will then depend on is dopamine, right? So that means buy me gifts, show me excitement, BDSM. You have to do all these things to get a dopamine rush because she's not secreting oxytocin to bond.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the problem is bigger than that, man. I lived in Mexico for about 2 years. And what I'm going to tell you is not just what I saw. Guys from the US who spent a lot of time or lived there part of the year, Mexican women will come in 5 minutes. I'm telling you, you set your watch to it in 5 minutes, bang. In 10 minutes is number 2. If she really likes you, she might have 3 in 10 minutes. But I'm talking the first time you lay her down, 5, 10, 15 minutes, she's got 3, and in 20, she taps out like MMA. She's like, I need a break. I'm telling you, and I'm not the only one who saw that. All the guys that I met who were from here were very surprised that women came so fast. So I think there's a 2-part problem, which relates to a third. One, in the U.S., sex education for women is poor. They don't really understand their bodies, so they can't get to that. Second part is they have a negative attitude, like sex is a man is dominating you and subjugate. You know, they have all these negative attitudes towards men. The battle of the sexes. There's so much negative attitude women have towards men that they can't even enjoy, and they know they're not getting the most out of it. So now they have all these head trips, right? So, if you look at the U.S. and Mexico, we're right next to one another, except the U.S. was founded on a Puritan culture, which was very suppressive about everything, about sex. In New Jersey, I think it's still on the books. Any sexual position aside from missionary can have you arrested. So
that's considered sodomy, right?
No, any position aside from missionary is illegal and you can be arrested.
Okay.
So all you can do is missionary. So that's how suppressive. We never got rid of that Puritan mindset.
I apologize for that, man. Someone's with the bike out there.
All right, that's all right. So I'm saying that's Mexico didn't have that Puritan culture. So those women down there, they'll come in 5 minutes, they'll swallow, they'll do,
whatever. Because they're so turned on that,
Exactly.
And that's the thing with women here. It's just that I even had some a while ago where they would try to charge me for it. Because they say, well, if I put my time into something, I need to be paid. And it's like, well, what makes your time more valuable than mine?
Exactly.
Who's paying me for my time? I'm supposed to pay you for something we're both participating in? Like, how's that going to work? And they don't like when you question them like that. You know what I'm saying? They'd be like, well, nothing is free. It was for other guys before me, I bet. You know what I'm saying? But it's just like, this is why I don't agree with paying for it, because you see, first and foremost, there are other guys, who got it for free. He didn't have to go on no date or nothing. Like, hey, this is what I want, my place or yours, and that was it. And also because it's like it's just a dignity thing. Like, what does it say about a man's sexual market value that you have to just pay a woman? It's like, no, I shouldn't have to pay for it. Plus, you're gonna get off on this too. So why am I paying you? You're gonna double dip. You're gonna get some dick and money, and I just, I'm still taking a loss. Even if I get the play, I'm still gonna be dollars short if I pay. So why should I do that? But there are guys that I could somewhat understand, like single fathers where they actually had the kids. They don't have time to go out and meet women like that. So what they do is, hey, look, just $50. I just want this. I don't care about your name. I don't care about your life story. This is what I want. You down? They go, they get it done. They go back. Maybe they pick the kids up from daycare, whatever, and that's it. Like, I have people do that. In a way, I can understand. But if you don't have to do that, you don't got a hectic schedule like that, I don't see the reason. But
no. So here's my perspective on the same thing. I'm doing most of the work, and I'm paying, and I'm going to be doing most of the work. Are you
and driving her way to it? I bet also, so like you got to burn gas and then pay her. Yeah.
Right. So I'm doing most of the work. I'm driving. I'm the one who's in charge of this whole thing, right? So I'm the one driving it. I'm leading it. You're going to get off on it, and I've got to pay you for doing most of the work and the fact that you get off, and I've got to pay for you to enjoy yourself. Nah.
Exactly.
You should be paying. When you lay it out, you should be paying me. So
yeah, it is like, you need to pay me for my gas to come over here, or I could have been working overtime, I took time out to come make this. There's always something that we could be doing better with our time. And that really gets on my nerves when they try to say, well, I need to be paid for my time. Well, the guy's giving you time also. So I'm not understanding what your time is more valuable, even though you ain't doing shit. It's like, what? I paid a girl one time in Seattle, worth $250. Bruh, you pay like half her rent probably or something with that.
That might I think he's in Great Britain, so that might be pounds, which is even more.
No, he said in Seattle. Oh, this guy might be from Great Britain.
Right, yeah.
Oh, so that's more like, well, the pounds are worth more than the dollars. So yeah, you probably like 350.
It's more like 300 something.
Missionary position was illegal. Yeah, I think they stopped that, because that was the case when I was in the Army. And I think they stopped it because, no one's obeying that. Not even the general who wrote that is obeying that. So I don't understand. You're American?
Okay, sorry.
Okay, so it must be someone else.
I was thinking of someone else, Chaos, for you. Apologize. Right.
Regardless, $250 is still way too much. You probably could have got a better looking woman for less than that if you really want to just pay, man. But I don't know. I just can't. I don't know. I can't wrap my mind around it. Like your time is now more valuable than mine. You know what I'm saying?
And that's really the bottom line.
Oh, he's a Texan. Oh, he's a Texan. Okay.
Sorry
He's a
about
Texan.
the chaos for you. I mixed you up with someone else. Sorry, man. Sorry. I remember. I know who you are.
But you know what? Here's the thing, though, about the. I don't know if this is going to be blacklisted, but the sexless individuals, the INCELs. You know what I'm talking about?
Right.
Yeah. The sexless individuals. A lot of them, though, because they're so blue pill, or you could say they're still in that delusion. Even though if some places prostitution is legal, they still don't want to get it that way because they believe it should come through love. And these guys, and like this other guy, I don't know if I can say his name because I really don't want to get you your thing hitting, Ted, but
Oh, I know.
E. Rogers.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, E. Rogers. His
It's the
father.
Black Belt, right? It's the Black Belt movement.
Yeah, I try
Puerto
not to
Rican?
say anything that might get blacklisted because he has a lot of notoriety, but. His father was, I think his father, he came from a rich family first and foremost. So there's literally no reason why this guy shouldn't struggle with women at all. But because of his mentality, once again, and his father even offered to help him with that situation, be like, hey, I could hire you some escorts and we could take care of this. But E. Rogers turned that down because he said he believed it should come through love. And it's like, guy, that's not how it's gonna work. You know? So there's
he went to a good college too.
A lot of these guys frustrate themselves. And if you saw glimpses of his videos, everything he was doing to get women was wrong. Like he swore he was like the perfect gentleman. It was like, well, that's your problem. You know, women aren't attracted to that type of stuff. So he's one of those guys where if you knew him personally, you would really want to take him under his wing. You know what I'm saying? I think what he really needed was a friend, a masculine one, to guide him since the father wasn't doing it, in my opinion. You know,
it's a toxic, just like, oh my God, the Black Pill movement is toxic. It's like toxic.
I mean, it's like, God, like he just needed someone to convince him and show him that, hey, what you're doing is wrong. You know, you are your own reason for why you're not getting the gratifications that you want. But
100%, yeah. That was crazy, man. I heard about that shit. I was like, dog.
Yeah, that was back in 2014. It was a big deal in California. I don't know if you heard about it, Ted, but it was like
it was in Santa Barbara.
Was it? Yeah, look.
I think it was actually
Ted, so you could see who it is. I'll send it to you on Instagram, but so you can look him up and see who I'm talking about.
Okay.
So yeah, it was a big deal. He killed like a bunch of people. His main target was women, but because he couldn't find enough, he killed a lot of guys as well.
Oh yeah, it was in 2014. Okay.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about now.
Really?
Yeah, I just sent it to you. Yeah, back in 2014.
He went to a good college too. Like
he came from a rich family. His father was like this big time. I think he was like not a director, but he did something with movies, I think. And
UC Santa Barbara's a good school.
Yeah,
that dude's smart too. That dude's smart also, man. Jesus.
And if you look him up, you know he's not someone who's hideous. I mean, I don't know fruitcake stuff. Like he could get women. It was just his mentality. It was like, guy, like everything you're doing is wrong.
So that's the other part of the equation. But hey guys, look. If you're not following Red Pill Rican, find his channel, follow him on YouTube and Instagram. If you haven't smashed that like button already, smash it.
I appreciate that.
And yep. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, smash that bell so you can get notifications.
Yeah, definitely. Your channel's criminally underrated. It pisses me off that you don't got more, man. You deserve at least 50,000 at the least. But
hey, thank you for that, man. So,
I've been watching like you guys like I think like around like I say like my junior like year of like young just high school and stuff, so it means a lot to like hear from like I mean like young just wise young just you know individuals and stuff, so I mean it means a lot to help me out, you know. Yeah.
It just means it's just talking from experience so that guys learn during their teen years so that they're not paying for it still, like guys like me at 34. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
hey, shit, I'm 19, dog, man. I got a whole way to go in life.
Like if I knew then what I knew now, right now could have easily been at least a 6-figure guy way ahead right now. But because of choices I
Yeah.
made, you know, I'm playing catch up right now for lost time.
Right.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like I definitely would have waited before having kids. That's for sure. You know,
Right.
Yeah, man.
I definitely would
Yeah.
have took school more seriously. You know, like none of this stuff hit me mentally until like my early 30s where I was like, you know what? I don't like where my life is at right now. I gotta start kicking things into gear, you know? So
Exactly.
it's just better that for you younger guys especially, you realize this now, so you're not in my position looking back like, what the hell was I doing, man? I could have been, you know, where I'm gonna be at 40 if I continue this rate. I could have been in my early 30s, you know what I'm saying? But
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, man.
It's really good to actually get your head straight, right? To develop yourself, so you're one less distracted. You can be more focused, and you can be clearer about not only the decisions you make in your career, but the people that you allow in your life and how you manage those relationships, because that has a huge impact. The people who are around you.
yeah, man. I mean, this isn't just about getting women. This is about how to protect your time and your money. And I'm not exaggerating when I said I would have easily had at least 6 figures. Because me, I live very simple. My spending habits, you know, they're very good. If I factor in the amount I'm paying for child support, plus the time I paid for when I was married, plus all the bills that come with, you know, supporting two and then two other people, you know, it's a lot of money, guys. So, but like I said, when I was married, man, I was broke. I'm talking about at one time I was even like negative, only a few cents, like negative 30 something cents, eight, something like that.
Wow.
Damn.
That was the lowest I
Yeah,
ever
man.
been. I actually have more money now being single, you know, even though I'm still paying for child support and everything that I did when I was married. So
Yeah.
that's the irony. It shows that kids aren't expensive, really. It's women that are. But and
They
that's
are.
my
They're high
perspective.
maintenance. Yeah, they're high maintenance. It's
I mean, yeah,
crazy.
because then you got to take her out to eat. You got to plan vacations together, and you got to multiply that because it's not just you. So you're actually paying double, especially if she's not working. And then you got guys out there where the woman's working, but they're not going to let her pay. What I think is the dumbest thing you can do, because I mean, now you're letting the woman double dip. You're letting her stack her money while you're spending yours. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of women use that platform to save enough money, but like, okay, I don't need this guy no more. I'm gonna move out and ditch him, and then make him pay me alimony while I'm at it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I can't.
Some of the better relationships, the man and woman put their money into one pot and they'll create a budget out of it. And there's no exit strategy.
damn chaos. See what I'm talking about right there, man? I'm telling you. And you got a lot of men out there that try to portray that garbage. That hey, even if your woman's working, she shouldn't pay any bills. I say, why not? I mean, what's she working for then? If she's not going to contribute, you know, she's eating from the same fridge, she's living on the same roof, taking up the same water and electricity. You're telling me she can't at least pay the rent? You know, grab a couple of bills. You know what I'm saying? You got to make these women invest, but a lot of guys are so scared, you know, to tell their women what they need to be doing. That this is the results we get. We get a sense of entitlement because you got these women saying, "Oh well, my man don't make me pay for anything; he pays for everything." And then they go, "Man, well, I heard through the grapevine, so she's not paying. Why should I?" And then it keeps going down. And then you got the men who cater to the women, telling them, "Well, he's not a real man if he's making you pay." You know, it's just like, when does it stop?
Yeah.
It's the man to pay the bill. Yeah, you even got guys trying to tell other guys that, hey, even though she's not even your girlfriend yet, you know, telling women that, hey, if he's not paying at least your bills for the first few months, then don't even entertain him. You know, don't let him take you out nowhere. It's like, what?
Well, look, the man paying for everything can work. Here's how it works. Ladies leave the workforce.
How many are going to do that?
No, I'm saying this is how it would work. Women leave the workforce so that men can go back and work and do what they've been doing for thousands of years.
But that's if the woman is actually willing to do her traditional role. A lot of women feel like it's beneath them to cook and clean for a man, and that's where the problem comes in. They want you to work overtime and pay for everything, and then they want you to come home and help out with the household chores while she's home all day. It's like, I'm tired. You know, why wasn't the laundry done before I get here? You know?
So this is where masculinity and manhood comes in. You need to be having these conversations up front. Hey, look, if we're gonna have children, when that child cries at 2 o'clock, that 2 a.m. feeding, do not disturb me. And I've had that conversation. Do not disturb me. Well, that's unfair. No, it's not. Because if you don't want children, if you don't want to do that, then you probably really don't want children. Because that's part of being a mother. You're a source of food. You go in there and you breastfeed, and that's you being a mother. If I'm going to take care of everything, do not disturb me. And they were like, well, what if sometimes you want to? I said, never count on me doing it. And they'll say it's unfair, and I'm saying then you need to find someone who will do that for you, because I'm not going to do it. Like, guys need to establish that so hard up front. Like I was saying, I picked that woman up and said, you need to have that kind of mindset and say, here are the boundaries. Here's how I operate. And if you don't like it, then I'm sure there's a guy who will do it for you.
You see what I'm saying? But a lot of people in society in general will do it. They'll try to shame the guy. He or she is your child too. You need to do this. Or, you live here too. You need to pick up some mess. It's like, but I'm working. I'm tired. Like, you don't work. So why can't you do it during the time I'm gone? You just sitting around waiting for me to come back? That's not 50-50.
You're using too many words. I just say, no, I'm not.
Exactly. No, but I'm talking about trying to reason. It's like, I want people to try to explain.
This is what they'll understand. No, I'm not doing it.
Simple, right?
But what? I'm not doing it. But that's not fair. I'm not doing it. Now you need to decide if you really want children, because the way you're talking like children are a burden, maybe you shouldn't be a mother. If you don't want to do those things, maybe you don't want children. You should be honest. Why do you want children? I don't want to make children with a woman who hates children.
Oh, it's not going to do her responsibilities. Yeah.
Exactly. So, I don't want to hear that. And guys are afraid to take that kind of stand. If all men did that, women were respected. And if they didn't, here's what women can do. Pack up, move to an island, and build your own civilization, and you won't have to be oppressed by men anymore. You can drill your own oil and go into coal mines and iron ore mines and get your own natural resources and farm. You can do all that.
Become linemen, set up your own electricity and all that stuff.
Carpenter, masons, brick masons, plumbers. You can do all that without us suppressing you. And you'll probably need an army, because someone's going to come in and turn you into a whorehouse, right? So you better be prepared for all that, and don't come back once you leave.
You came up something similar. You said there was an all-female business that actually failed.
Yes.
Because the women couldn't even manage themselves. I mean, you said they were catfighting. There was basically no order until they brought men in, but by then it was too late. The business was still gone.
Just one guy they brought in. So the first problem that happened, all the women wanted a high salary. And so the woman president gave them high salaries. And that put a financial strain right out the gate.
Of course, because it's not good economics. They need to understand supply and demand.
Exactly. She was paying them more than they were worth, than the value they were bringing to the company. The other thing is, these women were all this stuff we get told about sexual harassment. She said they were talking about sex in great detail at work. And last night I got, this guy, and the other one is this, they're encouraging women, married women, to have affairs.
Of course.
So they were out of control, man. And then when they had arguments, then it was the cat fight, and they couldn't work. Like, no one could work. The whole office fell apart.
It's like a bunch of kids, in the playground. You got to bring the men in, like the father, like, hey, knock it off, get back to doing what you're doing. You go over here, you go over there, you know what I'm saying? But
exactly. So they listen, if men would take that stand, hey, if you don't like the way men are running this civilization that we built, that we maintain and we protect, then pack up and leave. I mean, there are a bunch of women who won't go with you. Most women are not going. But the ones who don't like it, you should leave, because you're spoiling things. You're messing up the whole culture of it.
And that's gonna be another point in my video I'm gonna make about this masculinity thing. They don't want men to be masculine unless it involves being sacrificial, time, your money, and even your life and safety when it comes to protection. You know, they want you to be in touch with your feminine side for other stuff. But hey, I got, I started some drama over here. I need you to step in and protect me. Hey, I don't know how I'm gonna pay my rent next month. I'm about to be evicted. Or hey, I'm kind of bored. Can you come keep me company? Stuff like that. It's like, so you want me to come out of my bank account or take out of my time, or come and put myself in front of the stuff that you started, when it's at your convenience. But other times you want to, you want me to be subservient to you. Like, how's this going to work? So
you just brought up something important. So a lot of these guys who are in that, 18 to 29 virgin and don't want to be in that, because like what you were saying before, right? So they were taught girls are made of sugar and spice and everything nice and all that. And they're trying to be gentle and I'm going to make love to her and all that.
That mushy stuff. Yeah.
Right. Some women do want you to be gentle, but and a lot of women want a variety. Sometimes they want to feel manhood on them and a lot of women really do want to feel manhood. But not just sexually, because it's your mindset that needs to be masculine that will make them want to lay down with you, because because otherwise they would be with women, and a lot of women will say that if I want a guy who's all soft and mushy, I'll just be with a woman. I'd rather be with a man. There are times I really want to feel your masculinity, and there are even quite a few women, more than we men want to know, who have a fantasy to be raped. And part of that reason to want to be raped is they want the power and essence of manhood. They want to feel that domination sexually. So I'm not, like you were telling the other guy that, it's not necessarily you have to treat him like shit.
Yeah.
What you need to assert your masculinity and not be ashamed of it. And so these guys who are in this category and can't get out, some of them may have been talked out of their masculinity and they're afraid to assert it. And so a lot of the things that we've been saying the past like 15 minutes are things that they really need to hear and pay attention to.
You know what though? But again, like you said, it starts with the mind, because I have guys that actually follow my content and they don't listen because it's one of those things where they're all for it on the internet. It sounds good, but then at the moment of truth, they fold up like a lawn chair. It's still, because I don't think these guys notice, but a lot of the women they hit up, they see that they follow my content. I see. All right. And a lot of women are taking snapshots of their messages and stuff, and they're showing me like, hey, this guy follows you. And I'm like, well, that's not what I tell them to do. I don't tell them to send you videos of them playing with themselves. Yeah, shit like that. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, so, and the guys wonder why these women ain't giving you the time of day, because who the hell does that? So again, it's with the mindset, like, you guys know that you're not supposed to be doing this type of stuff. You're not supposed to be trying to buy her affection. You're not supposed to be begging for a chance. I'm telling you, I've seen all these messages, man. And then y'all wondering why you keep getting shot down. So,
well, and I guess where I was going with that, a lot of guys allow themselves to be led, and women will resent men who they can lead.
Mm-hmm.
They really will resent you for that. And so, and if a woman is looking for a guy who's going to provide and protect, and I'm not saying that's what men are here for, but let's just say that's her mindset, that's what society taught her. If she can lead you, she's looking at, well, so can anyone else. Anyone can lead you. And you won't know how to stand up for things and make them happen. So you probably won't be a high earner. You may not be able to protect me. So I'm saying that's one part. One of the biggest things, if a woman is honest, one of the most important protections that she needs is from herself. And she knows that when she becomes irrational and gets upset whether it's her menstrual cycle or not. Women's brains, women worry about things. And I'm not saying that as a negative. I'm not putting women down. It's just that is one of the major differences in our neuroscience.
It's just women being women. That's it.
Right. So I was in Clubhouse, and when we were asking the question, why is it important for a man to leave you? One of the common themes women kept saying is, look, sometimes I can be irrational. I need a man who can be more logical than me and lead me out of my irrational behavior, thoughts, and be able to explain it to me and be patient. Like that's what women were looking for. So if you're trying to be soft and sensitive and she's looking at you to be like her equal, she's like, how the hell are you going to help me when those moments when I act crazy?
You can't. And that same thing goes for men, where the women are telling them, hey, like, I don't want you to accept that scholarship, across the US because I'm not gonna be able to see you. Well, a woman's not gonna respect you if you go ahead and say, okay, well then I'll stay behind for you, because now you just let her decide your own fate. You let her decide what your own life's decisions. Bro. The real answer to that, and that's a lot more common than people think. Guys are turning down, like once in a lifetime opportunities. Like, hey, you just got a scholarship from a D1 school to play for them, and you're turning it down because your woman doesn't want you to go. And then 2 months later, the relationship is over and she's with someone else because you can't take it seriously anymore. In my opinion, that's an example of a shit test. For those who don't know what it is, where a woman will do certain things or she'll make certain demands of you, and she wants to see how you're going to react and how you're going to answer it, to see if you're actually going to follow through and react a certain way. So a lot of guys, and that also affects their future. I mean, you just turned down a bright future over someone who could walk away at any moment.
I have a relative who had a full ride scholarship in mathematics. I mean, can you imagine how smart this guy is?
Math, you go anywhere, basically.
And his woman said, it was to go away to another state. And it was a top ranked university, mathematics scholarship, man. He didn't go. He married the woman, had 2 kids, and ended up with a divorce. Why? Because at some point she decided to go to college, and she
focused on herself, and she like
professor. She's getting down with her professor. So he ended up with a divorce, and he turned down his mathematics scholarship.
What a waste of opportunity right there.
Mathematics, man. That's not an easy scholarship to get.
Math, you could get just about any job. The whole world revolves around math. I mean, you can't have architecture. You won't have science. You won't have this computer without math. I mean, math is literally the center of everything, man. Well, y'all gonna love me if you don't do such and such. You see, all you gotta do is tell a woman, like, look, this is my plan. You could either be supportive or you could just move on. That it's as simple as that. You can't let a woman put you in a position to where you feel like you're under pressure. Like, no, this is my goals. This is what I want. You can either be supportive or just go away. Maybe we don't need to be with each other anymore. Because she's putting you on a spot like that, then what does that say about the type of woman that she is?
And just quick turn, what's going on? Good to see you in the house on Instagram. So I'll say 2 things. Women who marry guys who are CEOs of big companies, before they even become CEO, that company says, I want you to work in Japan. I want you to work in Texas. I want you to work in California, New York. And that he takes his wife and his children and they globe trot. They're all over the place. Mm-hmm. And that working in that kind of way gets him to move up the ladder, and he eventually becomes CEO. If that woman doesn't know how to support that, she will choke off his career.
Exactly.
So there are women who know how to do that. One of the smart things those women will do is network with like some of the other wives who are executives, or with other women, and maybe even network with some guy who's a woman who's married to a CEO of another company, and get her husband another job making more money. If she's smart. So she's networking at the gym, she's networking at the grocery store, she's networking everywhere she goes, the soccer games. So if a woman is bored she's not being smart and strategic about how she's working as a team with her husband. She's just looking for transactions for sex and payday, and that's a liability.
It is. It is very much. But
so, anyway, we've been
yeah,
doing this for a bit, huh?
No, damn. All right, man. I mean, honestly, man, I think it's the spikes, man. I live right by a main road, man. So, but yeah, man. I'm about to go get me some food, man. I don't know if you still had other stuff going on, man. Cause we went on a lot longer than I thought.
Yeah, that's why I said we've been doing this for a while. So
yeah, there are a lot of topics we brought up that could have been brought up, like other future videos too, man. Like how women need protection for themselves and stuff. But
say that one again. Say that again.
About how women need protection for themselves. Like that itself would be another video. It's a frequent desire to attempt to have control. As men, we should be administering these tests. And, yo, who is that, man? But yeah, I actually have a live with the Fix for New York, Gym Status, and Old School Matt on Monday at 9:00, and we're gonna talk about shit tests because I have other perspectives on that. And one of them is gonna be like, I think a woman only does that when she detests weakness. But I'm gonna elaborate more on that later. And we're also talking about trying to get you, Ted. Wow, that's annoying.
I didn't hear that one. We could. I don't hear all of them. Sometimes we don't hear it. So chill.
Okay. We're actually trying to get you as a special guest at some point. I already talked to Fix about that. Okay. See if we could get you on at some point. But yeah, hey. For Monday, if you guys don't know, me, the Fix for New York, Gym Status, and Old School Matt, we have a thing called Red Pill Latinos going on. And we try to do a live every Monday, at least by 9 or 9:30. Depends on when the Fix gets off because he's the one that hosts it. But that's going to be one of our topics. My channel name is right what you see right there, Red Pill Rican. All right. So my YouTube channel, my Instagram is the same. I have a backup account too because I got like 7 strikes on my main one.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, that's nothing. Blackhearted, another guy I collab with, he got like 20 something. So yeah, I'm telling you, man. And Red Pill Mike, he might be taken down soon also, man. But
wow. Hey man, I want to make a quick special announcement, man. Look at this, my first. So it's not coming out until May 18th. So it's my first book. It's about relationships, but it really has a lot of stuff about how to be effective in business. It really has a lot about being about business. It's really like a corporate manual, but I explained everything in simple terms about relationships. So it's all about having more effective relationships, conflict resolution. And the story is literally me with 5 women in a luxury hotel room in New York City. So, so anyway.
Yeah, man.
I'm glad you came up with this topic. This was right on point, man.
All right.
Thank you.
Anyone else got anything for us? If not, we about to go off because I want to get some food, man.
Well, I need to hit the gym. So.
Oh yeah, it's late. Yeah.
My gym closes at 11, so I won't get a full workout, but I'll get 75%. So that's it.
All right, guys. All right, man. Ted, thanks for having me on, man. Appreciate it as always.
Definitely. Thanks, guys, for listening. This was good feedback from you guys. So if you're not following Red Pill Rican, smash his subscribe. If you're not already subscribed to me, smash that. If you haven't liked the video, smash that thumbs up. And you guys are great. Love chatting with you. We'll be back again soon. And you guys know you always catch me on Sunday night with Straight Talk. And appreciate you guys and your support. So have a good evening, good weekend, everyone. Take care, Red Pill.
Ted. Learn something new every time, man. All right, later.
Take care. Bye.